Hello, hello, hello. I'm Lady Falana, the CEO and founder of Endure Entertainment, the home of clean entertainment with one vision, one goal, to inspire. God has really blessed Endure Entertainment. We've been open for 1 year and God has blessed us with being featured on CBS, NBC, and Fox December 2021. Nominated for the 2022 Gospel Choice Music Awards for Independent Broadcast of the Year. Glory be to God. January 2022, we had our first annual virtual extravaganza. We were blessed by Pastor Jasanya Whitfield, Greg G. Baby Taylor, Marilyn P., Elder Michelle Hinton, and Larry Edwards Jr. Introducing the Endure Entertainment Television Network television personalities were May Rodriguez, Michelle Jackson, Evangelist Corey Thomas, Pastor Michelle Hinton, Prophetess T. Freeman, and yours truly, Lady Falana. All are amazing shows with their own flavor on how to introduce the love of Christ to the world, and that's bona fide talk. Family, Endure Entertainment has reached 18 countries outside of the U.S., and we're syndicated on 18 different podcast directories. You can view our shows on our website at bftm.live. We air our shows live 5 days a week on our website, and you can view our 24 hours a day, 7 days a week television station on our website, bftm.live. Keep us in your prayer, guys. We are certainly praying for each of you. We are Endure Entertainment, the home of clean entertainment with one vision, one goal, to inspire.
Hey, we want to give a shout out to all those that make it possible for us to be seen live on this broadcast. Starting with the Clean Queen, treating you like royalty. We have Digital's custom computer builds, meeting all your electronic needs. Underground t-shirts, being creative as you see fit. Highly Favored Productions, the ministry where music and lyrics come together. Mountain Mike's Coffee House, a small business treating you like family. For sponsorship opportunities, give us a call at 270-986-7996. Thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with your host, Prophetess T. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on God's green earth. I want to thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with me, your hostess, Prophetess T. Y'all, I got some good tea going for y'all today. We're going to talk about living that single life and some of the challenges of living that single life as a Christian. So I think this is a good conversation that you're going to want to include your friends, your family, your relatives, your haters, your neighbors, the dog down the street, the cat up the road. Just hit that share button at the bottom of the screen and let's get this good conversation started. Why don't ya? All right. So, guys, I put together a panel of wonderful people who are willing to be transparent with you on this evening. This is a judgment zone. That means that they're going to share some of their trials and tribulations, some of their victories, and some of their failures with you. But we want to always remember that God has purpose and plan behind everything that we go through. So let's think of our trials and our slip ups and our trip ups as an experience for a purpose. And we just know that God is such a graceful and merciful Father that He put a plan in place just in case you slip and fall. But we want to talk about what you can do while you're going through your process of single life. Now, I want to put this out there because for some reason, church people are under an impression that everybody need to be married and everybody need to be having kids. No, we know that that's not true. Some people, it's okay for you to be single. It's okay for you to be married and never have kids if you never have kids. It's all right for those walks. Not everybody has that mantle or mandate upon their life. It's okay. Paul even talked about it being better to be single because you're free to move and do things for the kingdom of God without having to worry about, your wifey or your hubby at home or having to take care of your kids and things. So it's okay to be single. It doesn't mean that you got leprosy or something like that. So be okay. Grace yourself, all right? If you're in that moment, or even if it's your desire to get married, and maybe you've been sitting in the single life for a period of time, grace yourself. Grace yourself. So let's get into this conversation. I don't want to hold nobody back no more. So let's pull our panel in. All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. All right. So, guys, I've got, as you see, I've got a group of panelists, a different age range. We got a female in the group. She's kind of outnumbered tonight, but it's well. and two male, and they're different, even their areas as far as where they are. Crystal, she's a layman in the church, and then we have two ministers with us. And so I want you guys to just, take your time, ladies first, of course, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then after Crystal, we'll go with Reverend BJ Major, and then my spiritual son Terrell. All right, go ahead, Crystal.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I am 40. I am divorced twice. I have two children. One is 18 and the other is 11. I'm a nurse. I've been divorced the second time for almost a year now. And it's been a struggle for sure. Yeah.
But she's got a pretty smile. Look at that smile, y'all. All right, sir.
Yes, my name is Reverend Bertram BJ Major. I'm 30. I'm a podcaster, life coach, Christian counselor, and I'm an author of 2 books. And I know this may be a surprise, but I too was once married, but now divorced. Yeah.
Now, I for the longest, it still took the fact that you were 30 is still tripping me up because I swear you look like you just stepped out of high school.
Been there, done that.
You're flooring me, but okay.
Yes, ma'am. But that's basically everything in a nutshell for who I am. I'm just someone who loves the Lord and love just keeping it real.
And my son, my baby.
How are you all doing? Blessings to everyone. Of course, as you can see, my name is Terrell Sublet. I am 33 years old. I am also divorced. I have no children. I'm a United States Army veteran, and I'm currently a college student. I go to Barbering College. This is actually my second trip. I didn't go through with it the first time, but this time I'm going to see it all the way through. But I was married for about 2.5 years. I've been divorced now for about 3 years, going on 3 years almost. And so, I attend Life Changers Worship Center, where my pastor is Prophet Phil L. McFeeters, that is located here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Look at that shameless plug. All right. So I want to thank you guys for being willing to be open and transparent about being single. And I did not even realize all of you have been divorced. So that was an interesting spin on that. And still, Revy Rev, I'm gonna want to see your birth certificate. I really am. So, okay. I told y'all I have no filter. All right. So I wanted to get into this. And audience, I am asking, please feel free to post your comments and questions. this is a conversation, which means we all need to engage in this. This is a place where you can be open and honest about all your struggles. If you're a new convert, if you mature in your walk in Christianity, or maybe you're somewhere in between, maybe you've gotten to a state where you're frustrated, and maybe you're ready to turn away from, even serving the Lord or walking with the Lord because of what you're experiencing right now in this time in your life. This is a good place to have this conversation with those that are going through some of it or have been going through some of it, that are willing to be transparent with you on this evening about their successes and their experiences, as I said. So I kind of did some research, like I was telling you guys before we got started, on what some of the hardest parts of being a single Christian is for Christians. And I came up with 5 that were the most prominent in what I found out. One being loneliness, 2 being confusion, another being anger towards God, 4th, sexual temptation, and then self ridicule. So if y'all don't mind us touching on that, I would appreciate that so much. So let's start off with this, because everybody seems to think that if you're single, we should feel sorry for you. Like, oh, poor dear. It must be so terrible. Oh, so are should we get tissue for you all the time? Do you have good bad days? Are you happy? Do you need to make an appointment with Mr. BJ Major or myself? What's good? Terrell, you want to start out?
Sure. Well, the first thing that I guess the Holy Ghost kind of dropped in my mind right there was, we live in a society where there is a certain standard that they live by, where they feel like you need to be with somebody. If you're not with somebody, something's wrong with you. You need to have, when you go to bed at night, there needs to be somebody right next to you. When you get off work, there needs to be somebody tending to your needs. All of these different facets that we experience. And if we're not careful, we can so easily be tripped up and fall into what I call, the Joneses, or the standards of society. But being a believer, the Bible talks about us being set apart. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So that's actually a process of sanctification. And not trying to really get too deep, but sanctification just literally means being set apart. So what I can say is, right there, we have to be careful who our influences are, who is in our ear, who is, and it can be, listen, it doesn't even have to be somebody who means bad for us. It can literally mean be like the people that has raised us. It can be people in leadership positions, and they may mean well for us, but they themselves may be misinformed, or because of their relationship with the Lord, or the lack thereof, they could give us some ill information with the right intentions. Does that make sense? And so that just goes back to influences. But as far as how I can relate it to myself, living the single life after divorce, for me, that's where the rubber really met the road, because shortly after my divorce, I hadn't fully processed to myself that I was actually divorced. I'm talking about after the papers have been signed and it is now a legal thing. I'm legally divorced. But in my heart, I would have to say about a good 7 to 8 months after that, I still felt like I had to have somebody there, because I was so used to being a husband. I was so used to taking care of the needs, of my wife. At that time, I always had somebody else that I felt like I was responsible for. That was part of my daily routine, my schedule, my decision making. And so once that came to a halt, it was like, okay, Lord, what do I do now? And when we become single, once we've already experienced, especially being in the covenant of marriage, having sex in marriage, when you come out of that, being divorced, it's not like you forget, those times or what that feels like. Right now I'm talking about in a fleshly sense. We don't forget that. So now we're on this path of, okay, we're trying to rectify ourselves. We're trying to get a new life going, a new agenda, a new schedule, while still trying to uh, uh, be on the path of trying to get our validation back. Who am I now? What am I? And so we try to, and it's easier said than done, but loneliness does creep in. And we're talking about the humanity side, because there's the flesh and then there's the spirit. Um, and so just on the flesh side, once again, we know how that feels. And so temptation can creep in many different forms. As for me, there were people who I didn't know. There were females who were interested in me that I had no idea about during the course of my marriage. But soon as I became divorced, they felt like they wanted to approach me, but they were trying to prey on the brokenness in me.
P-R-E-Y, not
I'm
the
sorry.
the P-R-E-Y, not
Yes,
the
ma'am.
P-R-A-Y.
Yes, ma'am. They were trying to prey on the brokenness that they saw on me. Whether that was, hey, let me invite you over, let me cook you a meal. Hey, I've got a couple of gift cards. I'm going to take you to a spa. Different things to try to make me feel good. And at first, I'm like, yeah, it sounded good. But then I found myself in very tempting situations, not realizing that I was still broken, that I still needed to be healed. So from a fleshly sense, there was plenty of times, to be honest, that I did fall into temptation. And it was actually like I had almost convinced myself, God knows my heart. I wore that line out. God knows
Oh.
my heart. I'm gonna go back Sunday morning. I'm gonna get on this altar. I'm gonna cry and I'm gonna pray. He gonna forgive me, and I'm gonna do it again. And I really had that mindset, and I thought that was all right. But what I was doing was putting a band-aid on something that needed to be stitched up and healed. And I also found out that the people who were reaching out to me, the females that were reaching out to me, they themselves were broken as well. So I didn't realize that I was attracting broken spirits as well.
That's good.
You
That's
know,
good.
mm,
That's real good. Hey, Crystal, from the
Yes.
female perspective, also you're still almost new in your divorce as well. How has it been for you? Have you had struggles with, bouts of loneliness?
Um, I think being a mom to two girls and I work full time and then I have the kids and just life in general keeps me pretty busy. So the times when I get lonely are when I have time to just when my brain has time to slow down. So of course that always happens usually at nighttime. Everybody's in bed, I'm in bed. Um, and so often I will turn on a comfort show, just something on the TV and turn it down kind of low because if not, I'm in this quiet room and I'm left with my thoughts. And so I just have background noise for distraction almost every night. And so that kind of helps me honestly, but and it's not all the time that I'm lonely. That's not it. But it just seems like the enemy tries to attack me more at night. Um, I'll lay there when I'm trying to go to sleep. I have thoughts of, if if I got sick, I have nobody to be there for me or take care of me now. I've got to deal with everything. I'm the only adult in the house now, so it's things like that. Or if I have to go to the hospital, I'm going to be by myself, or I'm going to die alone. Like that kind of thing. And here's the thing, though, even if you're married they could die before you and you could still die alone. So, like there's no guarantee that I'm going first. So, I mean, but those are the types of things that are put into my head just as I lay at night to try to go to sleep. Um, I notice that my spirit is more weak if I've had a really stressful day and I'm exhausted. And those are the nights that I just want to lay down and go to sleep because I'm just mentally exhausted. And when I lay down, um, that's when the thoughts start to happen more and more. But I'm very blessed and lucky to have a circle of friends and a wonderful mentor who I see weekly, that I can call upon them. It doesn't matter the time of day or night. I can call upon them. I can text them. They will pray for me. And, I'll get up and pace my floor in my bedroom and just yell at the enemy and rebuke him until I can go to sleep, until I feel peace in my soul. And then I can lay down and go to sleep because he's trying to put a lot of anxiety on me and in me. And I think the biggest one, honestly, is just the fear of dying and being alone. I don't know why that never bothered me before, but now that's one that he uses, and he knows he can affect me with it, so he uses it often. So.
I think as we get older, that thought, our timeline is getting shorter.
Yeah.
BJ, we actually have a question for you already, but I want you to go ahead and start before I ask you a question. But somebody has a question for you specifically. So go ahead. Do you struggle with loneliness?
Not as bad as I used to, but I have my days and my moments. I've been divorced now for, I think it's been 5 years. And the crazy part is I got divorced, was single for a few years. Then, after that, I met someone, became engaged, and then that didn't work out. And so, it was just like, Lord, I feel so alone. Being in ministry in itself is not always a walk in the park. It's not a walk in the park all the time. And, I'm very cautious of who I give access to when it comes to me. So when I open up, it that says a lot. And, that just be at a point where, it's like I'm back single, again, I just feel like I'm gonna always be alone. Like I'm never gonna be in a happy marriage, have kids and different things. And in my 20s, it really didn't bother me a whole lot. But for some reason, when I hit 30, kids started coming around. I want to be a father one day. I just want to be settle in a marriage, but at the same time, I don't want to settle. I want who God has for me, but it's hard, still just being single. Like those days where I be feeling lonely, I'm just like, oh goodness, I wish my wife was already here. I take myself out on dates, but sometimes I go out and take myself out on dates. I'd be looking like, look at that couple over there. Why can't that be me? I just be keeping it real, with me, something that helps me is that I'm reminded what God has already told me going to happen. I have people around me who pray for me, P-R-A-Y, not pray on me, P-R-E-Y. And I just, that support system is really a lifesaver for me. Honestly, I believe in the power of prayer, I believe in God, but that support system I got from my friends, my pastor, my parents, if I didn't have that, I really would be in a messed up place now.
I love that about all of you. If everybody is not paying attention to this conversation, the one thing that they linked in together was their village. So it's who they keep around them to keep them, aligned, or who they can trust openly to go to and say, hey, I'm struggling, tonight, or I'm struggling this week. So that's awesome that you guys have got that community. Now, the question that was asked, okay, this is from Drew. He says, how do you build up strength to figure out who or whom is a good influence inside and out of the church? Okay. And he says he tends to isolate himself as he's afraid of the temptation of others and not having strength to say no to others' ideals on what he should be doing. So, first part of his questions: how do you choose your influence? How do you determine who that is?
Uh, I'll real quick. For me, I'll say this. I don't know, Drew, if you've ever heard of the term fruits of the spirit, and it's just simply, you got love, peace, patience, joy, long suffering, meekness. All of these different things. You want to look at the characteristics of a person first off. And that's literally I say of the person, but that's the what they wield in their spirit. And then also I look at their experiences in life. What have they endured, and what have they come out of successfully? I look at that. Those are the two main things that I'll hang my decision on. And then, of course, God will orchestrate something in such a way that they have what you need, and it fits just like a puzzle. And it causes you to be able to endure, just a little bit longer, a little bit better. There's more. The Bible talks about how can two walk together unless they agree, and there has to be some sort of agreement. There has to be some type of godly counsel or wisdom in the midst. And then at the end of the day, my brother, pick up that Bible, because the word is like a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. So it's going to direct you. So that just for me, that's how I'm able to kind of navigate and determine who I will and will not allow in my village, as we coin the phrase.
BJ.
You better say it, preacher, because I'm gonna piggyback off of what he said.
Come on here.
The Bible says you shall know them by their fruit, and I look at the fruit. If that fruit is bad, it ain't gonna ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. That plays a huge role in my life, and I look at it like this too. How are they going to help me to move forward? How are they going to challenge me? I don't want to be connected to people who are either making me worse than where I'm already am, and not really helping me to be better. Because and here's one thing with me being on social media all the time, I don't hop up and join and want to, try to get connected with someone who got a lot of follows, all the time. I want some, we get so caught up in stuff like that to the point, everything that glitters ain't gold, everything that shines, show enough ain't finding, everything that looks good ain't always good for you. And what does the fruit say? And a lot of people be tripping, be laughing when I say that, but I'm like, it's true. Like what's how your fruit looking? And that's mainly what I, personally go off of. And I tell you this, and I'm gonna just end it like this. God has not let me down when it comes to that. I mean, I tell you, if I tell God, like, God, show me this person, like, show me what I need to see, and God shows up every single time. Every single time.
Amen. Crystal?
I unfortunately have to piggyback off of both of them because it's true though. I want to surround myself with people who always point me back to the word, and that do not entertain any fleshly desires I may have. I don't want anybody that's going to tell me to do me, or get you some, or you're human. I know all those things. I don't want that kind of advice, because in the moment of weakness and things like that, that's exactly what I want to hear, to help me justify what I want to go do or what I'm about to do. And so I try to surround myself with people who tell me what I don't want to hear, that keep it real with me. And again, always point me back to the word, scriptures, and things like that. So, because that is what helps me. And when I'm tempted, I have a choice in those moments. Sometimes you feel like you have no choice because that temptation is so strong. You feel, and I'll be the first to tell you I have given in to that temptation, because I have felt like I did not have any other choice. Like this was too strong. I can't, I have to do this, or it's not going to go away. This feeling of in desire is not going to go away if I don't fulfill what I need right now. And so, I have learned to not act impulsively and to distract myself, do something else. Again, call on the people in my life that I know will tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear in those moments. And that really helps me. And again, read your Bible, read the Word. Always go back to the Word, because it will never lead you in the wrong direction. That is for sure. So.
Okay, so we got another question. The next question is, how can you let someone go when they are all you know? So when it's time to, it's so hard to. Okay, let me stop. Anyways, but yeah, now that I can conversate on, but I want to let you guys. So, BJ, I'm starting with you. How do you? How do you?
I know with my divorce, I was in that predicament, and God told me, why you worry about what you just lost, and I'm about to give you more than you could ever imagine. It's a, first of all, it's a process. It doesn't happen. Even when God told me that, it still was a process. That's how I wrote my first book. My first book was about how I, found peace in God, during that time frame. So, I just went with the flow. I just followed God. I was always reminding myself of what God had already told me, that, hey, basically everything's going to be all right. It's just, you got to keep yourself moving. Don't just sit. Don't just sit and just be depressed and sad all day, every day. Because if you do that, that's when those temptations, those thoughts, and it just all kind of things will start to happen. You got to keep moving. Read, go for a run, go hang out with, your family, your friends. You got to keep moving. Stay in your word. Whatever you do not let the devil get in your mind. Just by sitting and not, doing nothing, just just sitting in depression. And honestly, I told God, I don't know how you're gonna get me through this, but I trust you. And next thing you know, by the end of that year, it was just like I was at a place where, I'm like, hey, everything is all right. Yes, I thought that the person I was married to, I thought she was, all that, I knew. But see, with God involved, everything can happen, because God's been right there the whole time. And this person, it is what happened. But at the end of the day, God had me all along. So why worry about something that didn't work out when God is someone who's always going to work it out?
Amen. That's good.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
I'm gonna go to Crystal real quick.
Can you throw that question up for me again, just so I can?
Yeah, we sure can.
Thank you.
How can you let someone go when they are all you know?
Okay. That is hard to do, especially when you're trying to do it on your own. You can't do it on your own, because you will fail. You'll go back. You'll find a reason to go back and be in that situation again, or it's a comfort. It's comfort, honestly. And somebody has to be strong and just hold out. Honestly, it's my most recent marriage. We separated, and the next day he called and he said, "I think we made a mistake." And I said, "I don't think we did." And I said, "Let's give it 2 weeks." And that doesn't mean I didn't love him or care about him or anything like that. It was just I was all he knew. And I didn't want to work something out with somebody just because we were comfortable together. And so I said, let's give it 2 weeks. And if you still feel that way, in 2 weeks, we'll have a conversation. We'll talk, we'll have a conversation. And I'm still divorced, you know, so you see where that went. he was he was okay, you know, but in the moment, he wasn't, you know, and it was hard because I was all he knew, and I get that because he was all I knew for a while, and I was married previously another time, and just totally different situations with both of those marriages, you know, two totally different situations. I did not divorce my first husband. That one was really hard to get to leave, because I didn't divorce him because I didn't love him. So when you still love them, that makes it even harder. You know, that makes it even harder because you're doing what you have to do, and but not necessarily what you want to do. And so that makes it hard.
All right, guys, we got a lot of questions, so I'm going to move us along. So the next question, and I'm going to start off with you on this question, Terrell. The question is, okay. I'm sorry. We're going to move on to that. That's bad. My producer's getting on me. All right. So when you get in those moments where you're angry, like towards God, because you feel like, God, I wanted things to work out, but they didn't. Or I'm tired of being single. What the crap? What's going on? You said it's good to be fruitful. You said it's not good for man to be. What's that got to do with me?
Oh, that is a real question. That's probably the realest one so far for me. Um, yes, there were plenty of moments where I was angry with God, but I found myself being angry during my moments of loneliness. It wasn't when, even after my divorce, things on the up and up. You know, I'm active. You know, I'm doing stuff in church and work. You know, it was usually late, as the old folks say, late in the midnight hour. I would experience those loneliness, and then I would think about picking up my phone and texting, you know, a female, or entertaining certain conversations and things, and then because my conviction would rise up in me, knowing that's not right. That's when my anger would, you know, I'd say my anger, but that's when I would get upset, and I'm like, Lord, you know, I was married, you know, and in that marriage, I was permitted to do, you know, to do the things that you have blessed, that you have literally sanctified. But you know, God had to turn around at first and showed me what my part was in the divorce of the marriage, because I had to go through a stage where I had to stop blaming, you know, my ex, now my wife then, and I had to look at my part. What did I do to contribute to that? And that was a real humbling experience. Like, I saw what I did. You know, I learned that, you know, I had a lot of selfish ways. I wasn't honest a lot. I know how to make it look good, you know, because oftentimes we can be married and we when we get out in public, we know how to look good. We dressed up, we pray together. And all this people's like, oh man, y'all are the couple, man. We want to be like you all. How do you guys do it? Oh my gosh, we want to invite y'all. Y'all are just, oh my gosh, y'all are wonderful. But when you get behind closed doors, there's disagreements, there's frustrations, there's all of these different things going on. And so, you know, I realized once again the part that I had played. And so my the healing after the frustration of being frustrated with God rather came when I was able to reconcile with myself.
There you go.
You know, that's when I was able to be, you know, be on the path where I could be healed and be like, you know what, okay, I did entertain other women, you know, because of the platform and the calling on my life, you know, being a musician and things of that nature, you know. Yes, you know, there were some untruths that I might have said, you know, that contributed to the end result. You know, knowing that growing up, I didn't have a good example of what a husband and wife was. I didn't have a how-to book, a marriage for dummies. I didn't have any of these things. I didn't go to counseling. It was just like a bull crashing into, you know, a wall. Just here I go, I'm getting married, you know. And so I had to forgive myself. That's what began to release all that anger and frustration, accountability, and forgiving myself.
That was really, really good. I'm glad you caught that. BJ, did you have any moments where you were angry or frustrated, or do you?
Not really recently, but I have, and in the past had, anger, like to the point me and God. I ain't gonna say me and God. I was basically fussing at God one morning. Like, it was months after my divorce, and I had just got fed up. I'm like, why? Why? I gotta be single. Why I had to get, basically, dumped through a text message on my 25th birthday. Why is all this happening to me? I ain't gonna be real. I'm going to be real. I'm not perfect, but I wasn't in the streets. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that, but I got treated like I'm just this bad person. And and I'm like, I was just angry at God, because I'm like, God, man, you've been rocking for a long time. Why? And it came back to what I said earlier. God, told me, basically has more in store for me. And I had to forgive myself as well. Also, too, I had to forget who hurted me. And let me tell you the crazy part about that story. I didn't communicate with my ex-wife for months until the day before the divorce hearing. And she was in the hospital. And when I found that out, God told me, go pray for her.
Yeah. Yeah. Reverend.
I know that's what you did to him. He's like, what? I know. That's like the hardest thing, is when God tells you, it's not about your emotions, your feelings anymore. It's about you remembering that that's your brother or that's your sister. I think, BJ, are you there still? Yeah. See, that just tells you the devil was hating on what he was about to drop.
He said something there, though. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, have we all not had to be in that situation? I remember that. Anyways, Crystal, did you have moments where, or do you?
No, I can't really recall being angry at God for my singleness or my divorces. And I think, if anything, I've turned to Him more, more so since this last one. I will say that. But because I can recognize that the outcomes of my marriages and being single were based off of choices that I made that went against God.
That's a word right there, which will lead us back into confusion. Like, did you feel like, since we're dealing with divorcees, that this was who God had destined for you, or do you think you made the decision on your own and you just decided that was your spouse?
Absolutely, with the first one, I did not consult God in any way with that one. The second one, I convinced myself that it was of God. So I'm very, as much as I desire to be married and to be a wife, I'm happy. I'm content where I am. I do very much. He knows my heart, and he knows what my desires are, and I do desire to have a spouse. I do desire to have a husband, but I am also okay if that is not what he has for me. And it took. I don't think I was okay with that at first, because as soon as I got divorced, I was like, okay, I know what I did wrong in this one, so let me fix me in this one. It was never like, I never looked at him and thought he did this, this, and this. I encouraged him to fix the things that he did need to work on, but I can't control other people. So, but I immediately went into reading books, Christian books and things like that about relationships and preparing your heart for your husband. And I like immediately, as soon as I separated, these were the books and the type of books that I was reading, and they were great. Don't get me wrong, they were great. But while I was going through that and reading them and reading my Bible and doing the different Bible studies and things like that, my focus completely changed. It wasn't about prepare myself for another human being, another spouse anymore. It was about me getting myself right, which I'm still to this day working on, so that I can be who I'm supposed to be in Him, no matter if I have somebody or not. Because that has become my focus now, and I like that focus a lot better because
I'm sure God does too.
yeah, but it just took some revelation, it just took, because I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong when I was, it wasn't that I was out here. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong reading these little self-help books to get closer to God so that you can, be ready, be this person you're supposed to be for whoever He has for you. But unfortunately, not everybody ends up with somebody, and we got to be okay with that if we're one of those people. We may, I've had to accept that. I'm okay with that. I'm content with my life, the way it is. So if something, if I was to die tomorrow, I'm okay with where I am.
Oh boy, this conversation is really, really good, guys, and we're running out of time. So let's get into one more. We got two left. Sexual temptation.
Yeah, we should have started with that one.
Yeah, man. That's what we started with.
You eased into that one, and
I
we
was
should have
trying
just
to
went
make sure I
straight.
got y'all comfortable.
Who wants to go first?
We give it to you, ladies first.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. What do you want to know? Like specifically, any questions at all specifically?
I'm in the taboo topics. So Crystal, if you say what, I'm gonna say.
Say whatever.
So,
I'm here.
A lot of people think this is okay. So masturbation. So
No.
is
Yeah.
it an issue and a struggle?
I
I told you I was very sexual before I
Right.
got married. So trying to now be celibate and abstaining. And there are some Christians, that feel, hey, I'm not cheating. I'm not
Yeah.
fornicating.
I used to be one of those. So I did think that there was nothing wrong with that because I wasn't being intimate with somebody else. Until someone brought to my attention something that somebody told them. And so somebody had told them that it's still wrong, it's still it's still sinful because in order to please yourself and to do those things, you have to think about impure thoughts. You have to think about those things, you have to envision something, you can't, you have to help yourself get there. So and that's just being completely honest. And so to have those thoughts and to think about those things, I mean, while it naturally happens, we're not supposed to dwell on those thoughts and continue with those thoughts and follow through. And so and honestly, I will say this, I noticed that when I was doing that, even though maybe I wasn't having sex with someone, but if I was just doing the masturbation and things like that to supplement that, my desire for sex didn't go away. It was never fulfilled. It got stronger.
Mhm.
And so sustaining from that has helped that desire to weaken, I guess you could say, to kind of to be a lot less than what it was before, but to continuously fulfill that need, it just builds up and builds up and builds up because it's never the same as being intimate with another person. And so you're constantly T, you can relate to this just because we're on similar pages as far as like weight loss and things like that. And so if you're trying to kick sweets, you don't want to eat the artificial sweets because the artificial sweetens, they only fulfill you for that moment, and then
Right.
you're craving it again. They're very temporary satisfactions, and then your desire and your craving for sweets and sugar, the real thing, is intensified, and it doesn't go away until you fulfill that need. And so that is what, to me, masturbation does. So it's not a good thing for me, and so I don't do it.
Amen. BJ. By the way, that pause, even though I know that was
Perfect
something else.
timing.
Like we felt that because we was like, you said something right there. So
Reverend.
we're gonna have to have a conversation about that some other time. But with you struggling with sexual temptations, you have those bouts.
Like for me, it's just what helps me to stay away from it is to keep busy. I love, for some reason, I love to read. I love to read, reading, if I feel like I'm going in a certain direction, I just find something to do, I'm always the type, wherever I go, I always carry something with me to write. I love to write. I write, and I just put my mind on other things, try my best to. It's not talked about in the church enough, because it's something real, and I'm gonna leave that on a whole other time, but straight to the point. But just saying, you got to find other ways to kind of not have your mind on those things, and even when it comes to your friends, need to have people around you that's making you just pointing you and pushing you in the right direction,
That's right.
because at the end of the day, when you really think about it, you don't really want nothing to get in the way of you growing in Christ. So,
Right.
you do anything necessary to stay on that right path. Do people have slip-ups happen? It happens with everybody. But the thing about it is, to get better, there's gonna be slip-ups in the road. But praise God, he's the type of God who looks beyond our faults and see, that hey, we're trying our best, and he sees that. Other people may not see that, but God sees that. So if you have slipped up, it's all good. Just go to God, lay at his feet, and keep on moving. He'll give you strength to do what needs to be done. But that's almost like I'm trying not to preach.
No, that's good.
Yes,
That's good.
sir.
So we have really stretched it. So real quick in like 2 minutes, Trill, can you want to comment on this sexual temptation?
I sure can. Listen, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 because I feel the enemy, wanting to, have us to feel like we're ashamed and all this stuff, but we're delivered,
Amen.
and we live in the dispensation of grace. You
Amen.
understand? And so, and I say all that to say this, as far as real quick, my experiences directly after, because I once I got married, I was a very, sexual being. It was a safe place in marriage to do that. But once I, became divorced, I was still having a lot of those desires. So the process for me was once I became divorced, I was still looking for that feeling. So there was a lot of times where I gave into temptation. Plenty of times, whether it was invited and I agreed to it, or I initiated. Either way, I was still chasing that feeling, but it all came to I just wanted to feel better. It wasn't necessarily the act of the sex itself, but it was just literally temporary satisfaction. And it's just like taking a drug. Some people drink alcohol, some people smoke marijuana, some people, but it falls in that same category of trying to feel better. So long story short, I got convicted. I'm like, what? I can't do this. It's wrong. The soul ties, all of these things. I'm convicted. I pray about it, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to resist. Women trying to come upon me or me initiating. I put the focus on that, but long story short, long nights, lonely nights and things like that, I found myself giving in to masturbation. But, it didn't last that long, because after that, after the deed was done, I felt dirty. In the moment, it felt satisfactory. It felt wonderful. Let's just keep it all the way real. It felt great. But I'm talking about immediately, as soon as the deed was done, it was a woe is me that came right up on me. I felt dirty. I felt like I was out of the presence of God. I felt like I had fallen short in sin. So the solution was, I know that I'm a hard worker. I like to work with my hands, so it would either be I pull my keyboard out and I start to play worship music. I worked construction, so I would work myself literally to where I got tired, so I didn't feel like it. But in my mind, I decided to continue to worship in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So just filled up my time and filled up my hands.
Amen. Guys, I appreciate you guys so much. And I wish I had another hour. So we're gonna have to continue this type of conversation. So if I invite you guys back to do another panel, would you be willing to do that for me?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm in there.
Awesome. Awesome. So we'll have to get together and talk about doing this again, because I want those of us that are trying to get right and with God and our walk with God to know that God has graced us even in these moments. There's nothing that God cannot do for you in your moment. Whatever you're feeling, God has built you for it, believe it or not. And it's a reason you're facing it, and it's a reason why you're going through it. And maybe right in the moment you can't see it, but in the end, like Rev said, he said it most of all, God has greater down the road for you. And I'm telling you, even in singleness, there can be something astounding in it. So it doesn't mean that you need to be tied to somebody. And I'm going to say this because this is my second marriage. If you don't love yourself and you don't heal your own issues first, you're never going to be good for anybody.
Amen.
So
Amen.
always fall in love with yourself. Like Rev said, take
Mhm.
yourself on dates, pamper yourself, go buy yourself gifts, and then hold yourself accountable for your part in things, because we all fall short. We all got issues and little hang-ups, that we need to deal with. But we've got to know who we are in God, who God says we are, and to be healed, have our minds renewed and reset. That way we do attract what's going to lead us to our purpose. And I think that's the most astounding thing out of everything. Whoever you join with should be also leading you towards the purpose that God has you walking in. The two of you should walk together and be agreeable in it. Amen.
Amen.
So guys, enjoy your singleness while you can, because I know I get on Danny's nerves every left and right chance opportunity I get.
Danny.
So
Don't believe anything she says. That's not true.
he just loves me. Sure he does.
Aw.
But yeah, that's my little, I love him. He was God sent, because I'm telling you, I was not looking for him. I was running from him. So, but guys, I really appreciate the time that you have spent with us. I thank all of you who commented and posted questions, and I know there's probably more that we did not hit. But we're going to try to continue this conversation again. Now, next month is a little kind of backed up for us, but I think I want to pull it towards the holidays, because that can be a time too when singleness can start to get to you too. So we're going to talk about how y'all do that. When you don't have somebody going to Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas parties, and you can have somebody going with you, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, y'all. So we can have that type of conversation if that's cool with you guys. Maybe we can pull it around the holiday season. Sure. All right. So don't go nowhere. Remember what I told y'all. All right, guys. So we want y'all to understand that there is nothing is bad in God's eye as far as relationships. And in all honesty, you're never alone. He says he'll never leave you nor forsake you. And what God does is he will fill that spot in your life that if you choose to look towards him, if you choose to chase after him. And I'm telling you, he'll give you a peace. He'll even give you grace in your singleness to be able to abstain and refrain from doing anything that could cause you to fall out of his will. So, and if you falter, repent.
That's right.
And get up and do it again the next day. Don't stay in it. Don't waddle in it. That's what the enemy wants you to do. Oh, well, God bless her. But yeah. So we'll have to pull her in next time. So my other guest showed up. All right, guys. So I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it is your time to shine with me, your hostess, Prophetess T. Make sure you tune in next week right here on this same channel, and be blessed in all you do, and enjoy your singleness while you're doing what you're doing. In Jesus' name. We thank you for tuning in to I've Got Favor, where it's your time to shine with Prophetess T.